A few more streets and we'll be through. A few more streets and we'll be through.
Hi everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Walking Down the Avenue. Yay, it's Blaqstarr. Go live. Hi, Blaqstarr. Nothing. Are you in the car driving?
Yeah, I've been out editing all night, and I just needed a shot of coffee right quick.
That's what's up. This is gonna be the livest interview ever because you're driving at the same at the same time.
At the same damn time.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get started because we got an hour before Instagram does the thing and kicks us out.
Yeah.
Let me see. So look. Number one, are you gonna break up the whole time with your signal?
Let me know when I start Teddy Riley in. I should have turned my do not disturb mode because people might just call me and shit. But
You can do that if you want. You good now?
Is the signal cool though?
Yep.
All right, there we go.
You sideways. You in the car whipping. I'm about to turn sideways too to give it the the vibe. But all right, bet. Let's see. We're gonna go all the way back to the beginning, Black. I need you to tell me, where did you first discover Baltimore club music? And you know what? Before you even continue, I'm gonna give you a half-ass intro because you don't deserve, like, you don't need an intro. You're Blaqstarr. Like, all I have to do is say Blaqstarr, and everyone knows and understands for real. But just to give the viewers an idea and like an understanding, if somehow somebody didn't know who you are, tell us who you are.
Blaqstarr, the ineffable. The word
There you
ineffable
go.
means so divine. There's no words for it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a DJ. Started off DJing, then I evolved my sound. I evolved my skills and started producing at an early age. Word at the tender age of 16, or not, the tender age of 15. I made my first club track at 15. That track was it was the original Tote It, but a lot of people don't. But it was the club song that I sampled. What happened to that boy? You know, it had the Lil Jon sample in it and the Baby sample in it, like tote him up, light him up, nigga. Birdman, motherfucker, like that joint. Yeah. And from there, my second track was the Tote It 2, and that was the one that started off like Tote It.
Yeah, that's the one everyone knows.
Yeah, and then I put my vocals on there. This was my first time like experimenting with my vocals by myself. And I just said something simple in there like I told it, nigga. I told it, bitch. I told it, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Then after that one, which was probably a week later or something, I made Tote It 3, which was it was like, hey, hands up, hey, now. And all of them had gunshots in it. You know what I'm saying? I was probably one of the first.
I was gonna say you were the first to incorporate the gunshot as a musical instrument. Exactly.
Which inspired the international hit "Pick Up Planes" by MIA.
There you go.
Yep. So the Tote It joint, the Tote It 3 joint, when I was like, I told y'all, I told it put the bullet in the Glock and blowed it. That was actually remixed by Lil Wayne on like a mixtape, but never officially came out.
That was the hardest track ever.
Yeah, some people might have.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't know. All right, that was that one.
And then it's like tons more. It's like Supastarr. The way that you move, I like the way that you. I like your sexy ways, girl, 'cause you're my superstar. That joint, the beat was actually made from a snippet sample I took from a Missy song.
Yep.
Past That Dutch.
Yep. I remember when you told me that blew my mind.
Yeah, it was the cleanest part I could find at the end of the track. So I just took like that second of a thing and just sampled it all the way through. And I was like, wow, yeah, I'm gonna keep it just like this. I ain't even gonna, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What inspired you to start making music as opposed to make that jump from DJing to actually making the music?
Um, it was a lot of things at the time that inspired me. DJing for one, you know, just doing the parties and uh, able to absorb the energy from the people and seeing what they actually like. And the club tracks that were out there at the time, it just wasn't like pleasing my crowd the way I felt like I could possibly like, you know, please them in a way, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was too much of a struggle at the time for me to try to keep up or even attain like the tracks that were quote unquote new or fresh at the time. And just, you know, when I learned just because they were fresh didn't mean that they were like substantial enough to like carry through to be, I guess, you know, uh, classical, I guess, or historical, whatever. Because
Mm-hmm.
what I noticed when I first made Tote It, like the first time I made it, I played it at a party. It was a Thursday I made it, and it was a Friday I played it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Friday I had a party at Thurgood Marshall. Shouts out to Pinky, Slutty Vegan. That was me and her party at the time. And I remember I introduced the track. I played it one time, and
Mm-hmm.
the whole crowd just was like, you know what I'm saying? Run it
Yeah.
back. I ran it back like 10 times. It was literally the whole. And you know the track only like a minute and 30 seconds.
Right.
He running it back, you know what I'm saying, and that carrying like a whole, you know what I'm saying. It was a struggle trying to put something else on because the people just was like so like, you know, instantly hypnotized by it or something, like, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You keep on fucking around did that too, you know what I'm saying. And what I just noticed recently, or the title of it is Keep On
Mm-hmm.
Going. What I noticed was that I only had one sound in that. No, two sounds. I sampled my homeboy S. Dot voice, and it was like, get it, get it, get it. You know, the get it sample that's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I sampled this voice to incorporate in the beat. Um, you know, my harmonies in the background,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the main line. You keep on fucking around, I'm gonna go. So it's almost like a hood ballad or something, like, you know what I'm saying.
Right. And you
And
know
that's what.
what?
Mm-hmm.
The way that you said that Get My Gun does only have two sounds in it, outside of your voice. Um, do you think a lot of people, a lot of us, all of us, me included, we consider you the, like seriously a pioneer of the Baltimore club sound? Do you think that that simplicity of it is what made it catch on so hard? Or do you think that, you know, no, yeah. Do you think that making something, did you have any clue that making something with just using two sounds was about to blow the way that it did?
You know what I think I was able to capture that was the most important element.
Mm,
Then I was having fun, like, you know what I'm saying. I was having fun and I was doing for the people's reaction and stuff, like, you know what I'm saying.
mm-hmm.
Give them exactly what they wanted, and I was having fun while doing it and not following any guidelines, not no you know no master like advice or anything, and it just was like, and I think the magic in that, the people were able to like accept it, not just accept it like digest, you know what I'm saying. It was easily digestible, and at the same
Yeah.
time, you know
Who were your who was your biggest who did you love to play the most? Like when you first started DJing, Who was your favorite artist to always spin when you were playing these parties?
My favorite artist to play. You talking about Baltimore Club artists
Yeah,
or just Baltimore
yeah.
Club?
Hmm.
I would say I had a Scotty B record that was like a secret weapon, and that was like Wild for the Night. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Wild for the Night was I kept that like my favorite gun. Um, I had a Boo Man track, Who's in the House. That was always like a nice, general track that I play. The KW Griff, um, that he when he sampled Lil Jon joint.
Yeah.
One of the originals was Dick Control by Tap.
My tech. Hmm.
Yeah, and Rodley and Techniques back then made so many tracks and was kind of sort of like it just was like a thing to grab like they new records from like Bernie's and stuff. So that would be like automatic and stuff. Because before I started producing, that was the only like fresh tracks that you could get. You know what I'm saying from the record store. Like
Right.
when Phil, like around the time when Feel Me came out. When he made that Feel Me.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, in those days right there, that's when it was like Broadly and Techniques, and by that time, I think Scotty B and Sean Caesar wasn't making as many tracks, but they were kind of sort of like playing like the distribution game and putting other producers out there and on and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
How influential do you think having I know you mentioned Bernie's, um was that the main way that you all exchanged music back then? You would hit up the stores, basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Before there were like CDJs, that was like only records, like what I'm saying, we got
Right.
it from music, aka Bernie's. So that was that was the go-to spot. And then CDJs came out, and stuff became like okay, you know, it had certain things had to prove itself to go on wax at that point because it was
Right.
so easy to pick up a CD. You know what I'm saying? Anybody could just press up anything. They had their own joint, and that was the birth of my flow right there. Like when the CDJ ever came out, I was like, all right, CD burner straight from my computer on the CDs. Like you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that none of us have talked about yet was in that way how technology has kind of driven a little bit of this, because yeah, it is hard to get something to put on wax, but to get it on a CD and just have it ready at your parties and everything else, that's definitely a way it's spread. So look, you mentioned earlier how Tote It became, the inspiration for MIA and the Paper Plane song that we all love oh so much. Do you want to talk a little bit about how, we don't have to go all the way into it because we all know that story, but a little bit how the MIA and you happened? And really the subtext of that question is, did you have any clue that club music would go so far? Like, did you know that it was going to blow up the way that it did, especially when working with international artists and then growing to what you are today?
Definitely. I had that feeling, and I already felt like I was living in it when I first started making the tracks. Like
Word.
I had that feeling when I was DJing at Hammer Jacks with K Swift and the Paradox, and I was fortunate enough to carry through that feeling in my my older years, like present years and stuff, and
Hmm.
relive through working with different artists like MIA, Diplo, Skrillex, Steve Aoki, and all that. And so it's almost like I will always have like a big smile in the back of my brain, like when I'm just quiet and shit. I'm like, wow, look at this. Like, wow, look at this. Is this real? Like, not is this
Right.
real? But wow, I was doing this since I was 15, and like they loving the stuff that I breathe. Like, so and
Right.
I think as I got older, the more elements I came across by traveling and everything, I just became more open to doing more. But it was a fine line in doing more and then doing too much that I'm in a place of like fusing together right now, and that's
Mm-hmm.
incorporating thing that I'm able to do into everything that I want to do. Like, you know what I'm saying?
What do you feel? How do you feel about how do you feel about being known as kind of like the soundtrack to the city? You know, when we think Baltimore Club, your face pops up first, and so it's like you are the definition of the sound of the city. How does that make you feel? You got that?
Yeah, yeah. For one, I feel like me having my hands in the soil and that approach, like since the start, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it was automatic and well deserved. Yet I don't feel like I'm finished. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only thing that's a bit confusing is the whole legend thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, wow, I'm still working. I didn't think it was done.
But
Like, you
you're
know,
not done.
that was only the beginning. That was my my school years. Like I was learning.
Right.
Like, and my whole here go quote that made me think about that is like it's been my whole life. Yet I'm only at the beginning. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You
Do
feel
you
me?
think
So
what do you think the biggest thing you brought back home was in terms of working, being able to travel internationally and being one of the first to bring club music to London, you know, and bring club music to any, you know, Europe, Africa, all these places. Um, Even after you've traveled to the places you have, what do you think that you brought back with you the most as an artist and brought to the city's
uh,
sound?
I think I've well to the city or just into like you know uh well really like right now a lot of what I've been doing was like licensing for film and everything. So it's
Uh,
almost I'm not on the same like platform as I was, but it's almost like now I'm being pulled back into it based off of my interests. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm now becoming more like into like seeing what's going on in the city. Although I've been here like for some years and stuff, I still have my focus on a different platform and stuff, right? But
right.
I could name some of the films and everything that I've like licensed songs to and everything, but
Mm,
those songs had elements of club music in it, but it wasn't full on club music. Like, you know what I'm
right.
saying? Right now, one of my ideas that I will like that I'm operating is to incorporate more raw club elements and then giving that to the world from where I am right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, uh, me, well, MIA, Skrillex, and I collaborated on a track called "Go Off," and it was in a
Yes.
movie called Snatch about a few years ago.
Yes.
Uh, Diplo, MIA, and I just collaborated on a track that was in the movie that just came out with Issa Rae and
Lakeith.
and no, the other
Okay.
one, the one that's how did I forget the name? I didn't forget the name.
Love.
Lovebirds.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't forget the name. Just that I was talking. All right, so
Yeah.
Lovebird. If you haven't seen it, it was on Netflix now, and it's dope. And if you don't have
Hmm.
Netflix, you can look on YouTube. Check it out. The main song, like soon as they hit the dude in the commercial, that's the song I'm talking about.
Okay. Do you think that the movies, you know, with you blah blah, how how do you feel about club music's moving to the silver screen? Because you've been working on movies for a while, you know, and dealing with film and stuff, and then even with TT's latest documentary coming out, and where it's like, you know, this Baltimore music is starting to creep into now the world of film. and the silver screen. How do you feel about that?
I feel like, it's right on time. Part of, I want to give a shout out to the whole cast of the film Love, LUV, that started coming,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Marion out a little while ago. Shouts out to Sheldon Candace, Zentola, Joe, my brother, Sean Banks, uh, like the whole cast, yo. They really like helped me along the process, see what it was like behind the scenes of creating a film. And from that,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to be inspired to, like, to take a different approach when it comes to creating like audio and visuals and stuff. Now I feel like my new approach, like the way I used to make tracks is the way I'm approaching making films and stuff now. I was
Right.
in the production and everything, like, when Sheldon was actually, with the editors and editing the final clips of the films and everything, and just seeing how, I scored the majority of the film. That
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, not only monetarily, but it was embedded into my workflow. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like now my main approach is film and then scoring films and stuff like. And I feel like from that, it's giving the big companies examples on how to use my music. So not only will the films that I make have the new sounds that I scored for it, but it's also opening it up and shopping the music to be licensed for other type films and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
How let's change gears a little bit slightly. How has the business side of the music industry affected your club music journey in terms of when you in terms of like licensing and getting songs out? Because I know that from a lot of producers here, excuse me, current and prior, one of the issues, for example, is figuring out how to get songs on the radio or figuring out how to get songs to these other places and getting record labels in order and things like that. Because Baltimore club music is kind of an inherently underground genre, how do you think that the music business industry as just a whole as it is plays against that or for that? Or do you think that it doesn't, because of how club music is, it doesn't affect it that much because of how we grow?
Uh, my approach from the start has always been build it and they will come. You know what I'm saying? Like, just from reflecting, I'm seeing how, my tracks were on the radio a lot, right? But
Yeah.
I've I've never went to a radio station and asked them to play my tracks, right? And I think it was more so from the results of my work ethic and the belief in what I was creating and what I was doing and everything, right? And I feel like, to answer your question, is almost like I suggest that approach and everything. And although people may have assumptions and like, oh man, like this person ain't doing this person ain't doing that, but nah, it's like one of my favorite movies was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids when I was growing up, right? And I thought about that film not too long ago, and it helped me realize, like, wow, that's what that's part of how I operate. Like, the dude was always in the basement working on his big ass machine, and nobody
Right.
knew what it did until one day he showed it, and it actually shrunk people, or it actually blew people up. It's some life changing, out of this world type shit. And I just feel like that's how that's my approach with in the midst of my work ethic and stuff, like, what I'm
Hmm.
saying. And that's how I suggest it should be, like, what I'm saying. Instead of only targeting the radio for the fame and the clout, how about targeting an actual flow that will supplement your day to day from what you're able to create? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You know,
That's a really good
instead.
outlook. That's
you
that's
know,
that's something that we should probably spread to the younger ones who are currently, grinding it out, because club music certainly is not dead. And there's a lot of people who are constantly making their own music and doing that, but they feel in a rut because, for example, they might look at your success, or the success of others and feel some type of way because they're not on the radio all the time, or, they're not getting placed and stuff. And I think that it's really one of those things we need to teach that is not the end game. You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily the point, or it doesn't have to be.
exactly. Because I feel like, for one, I was always moving around a lot. Like, I was too busy to even listen to the radio. Like, even when I first started driving and stuff. And a part of that allowed me to focus on actually what was going on. You know what I'm saying? I wanted people to hear my music. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I decided to take the approach, let's do a lot of parties. Like, you know what I'm saying? Um, at the time, I was being booked for gigs, and at the time, I was also booking my own gigs, meaning renting out halls, partnering with different people and doing, like, parties and everything. And in that, I was doing it so much the way as though it turned into, like, reflecting back, I was pretty much, the, you know, DJing every weekend slash sometimes at least at least 4 to 5 days a week and stuff, like every week, you know.
Right.
And from that, I was able to build a following, almost an invisible following, because that following would, because I made mixtapes as well, right? So that
Right.
following would buy my mixtapes at the parties, and then amongst their groups have it, and the radio didn't have it, but all these people had it. So it was like the
Right.
people was calling radio and stuff. It was like, yo, you got that gunshot club track? Oh, you got that club track with the dude singing on it? Like, nah, no, I ain't got what y'all talking about. Like, and then, I actually got that from K Swift herself. Like, she was telling me, how she started, like, looking for my tracks and stuff. Like.
Word. So let's go back again, or like change gears slightly again. This is third gear now. What is your favorite Baltimore club party memory? Like, going back, what was your favorite times you were like, no, this is really my shit, and I'm having the time of my life?
I feel like, I mean, just off the head right now, I'm gonna say every last one of them. But one that popped in my mind as a fond memory, I just remember it was 2 weeks, right? It was the first week was it was Super Sundays at the Jacks. I was DJing with K Swift, and it was one week after the party. She, we was talking or whatever, and she was like, "Black, everybody made, a Ryda Girl track. Not Ryda Girl, made a Hey Riders track, but shit,
Mm-hmm.
like, you supposed to be my man, yo. You the only one that made the track for me and my homegirls." I was like, "Damn, Swift, you didn't even ask me. All you had to do is ask me." I was like, "I got you, right?" So, because at first I just thought it was a thing. Hey Riders, like, back in the
Right.
day they used to make theme song tracks. Like Big L had one. I know Say What made one. Super Big L, but like,
Yeah.
intro. So I just looked at it as that, and I wasn't really into making like intro tracks and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
at her request, she asked for it. I decided how I was going to take the approach, and it was, that was a Sunday night. She asked me. I say about like that following Thursday, I had a setup in my living room at this apartment I had, and
Mm-hmm.
I called up my homeboy, DJ Cali, right,
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, and he came over. I was like, "Yo, you wanna freestyle some tracks, make some tracks or whatever, right?" So um, the first track we made, I didn't have in mind to work on the Swift track that she asked me, but I was like, "Yo, let's incorporate some keys or something. Yo, I'm gonna start the drum track, you do the keys. We're gonna go like 1980s style. We're gonna think 1980s and shit, right?" He's like, "All right, this is up." So I made track, dum, 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 real simple, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking, what was 1980s? I was like, yeah, just something real simple, like keys, like ding, ding, or whatever. So, he played the keys like real simple. One take, he gave me like the keys the way they are on Ryda Girl. Ding,
Mm-hmm.
ding, ding. I was like, yeah, keep it like that, right? So he kept it like that, and we kept it on loop for like a good 30 minutes or whatever the case. And I was like, all right, let me just try something. So I got on a mic, and in my mind, I imagine young Michael Jackson. I imagine the Temptations. I imagine like the 70s, 80s blend, and I just like close my eyes. I'm like, my brother, yes you are. So it was more feeling than it wasn't even really focused on singing proper enough, and it just was like fun, right? So I did that,
Yes.
and after playing that, after doing that part, I did the harmonies, my rider, my rider, my rider, girl. I did different things with my voice outside of the proper way of doing harmonies and all that. So, bam, the vocals was there for the chorus and the bridge. The first piano was there, and then we had it all on loop. And I was like, yo, can we add something new edition-y in there, like new edition
Mm-hmm.
type? So then he hit him with the. I was like, oh my god, this shit crazy. So that was just the track. And then my man DJ Amazing, he was over there too. He was like, yo, y'all should rap on it, yo. I was like, all right. So, yo, I'm saying Ryda Girls, this could be the thing for, what K Swift asked me for. Like, all right, bam. So I'm gonna make it about the Ryda Girl. So, I just wrote the first verse, based off of how I felt about the Ryda Girls. Like, you know what I'm saying? And for those of y'all that know the words,
That's such a sweet story.
yeah.
That is the birth of that song. What was your favorite venue? You mentioned Hammerjacks.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite venue to play in?
My favorite venue was the Paradox, then Hammerjacks. The Paradox felt more like home. Uh, Hammerjacks felt more, my favorite cousin house or something like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel? How do you think that you know, we don't have the Hammerjacks no more. We don't have the Paradox anymore. And we don't have a lot of the places that we used to party in regularly. How do you feel about the status of club music without having a home to go to, so to speak, like that anymore?
I I think that's the thing though. I think that is because Philly got that. Philly got that, Jersey got that, but
Mm,
Baltimore don't really have that home for club music anymore. I've noticed, like
right.
while being right, and I feel like it's real important because about a year or a year and a half ago, my homie DJ Crazy had called me up for to host a party with him, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
went up. I ain't really know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? So I went up there, I host, and after before I got on the mic stuff, it was a few performers. So each performer performed club music songs and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was one group that went up there. I didn't know what to expect when they went up there because they went up there like, how rappers and stuff dress now, like the Young Thugs or not like Young Thugs, but you know how the new school rappers dressing and stuff. So they went up there.
Mm-hmm.
Beat was like a club beat. They throwing money in the air and all this shit, and I'm just like, yo, wow, this crazy. Like I ain't seen, you know what I'm saying? They really going hard with club music up there. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it was almost like a thing because you'll see somebody that look like they don't fuck with club music, but up there throwing money, rapping to it and shit. I'm like, yo, this is nice. This is like, it made me feel good because they kind of sort of like honored me as a legend up there. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm well, I know I'm honored as a legend, but it was more so prominent, and everybody pretty much like, wow, Blaqstarr, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
yo, thank you for, our city really fuck with you. We sample your vocals up, like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, it almost felt like I stepped in the Neverland or something, like, you feel me? And that's how it was when I went everywhere, like in Sweden, in London, and for me to be not too far from Baltimore, and just a year later or so, like slightly or so, and for that to still be the thing, it just gave me like a extra boost, and like okay, well, if anything need to be done, then a home is needed, Baltimore, for the sound, like, you know what I'm saying?
right. So you think we do need to open up some kind of established home because people do recognize that, but I personally, and I've talked about this with the prior interviews too a little bit, I feel like club music, we need a home for it because there are so many people who love it but don't know where to find it anymore. It used to be, like you said, we would be having 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes parties a week. And we had so many different venues we could go to. So it was never a question of, oh, if I want to shake off or if I want to hear club music, where would I go? It was places everywhere. Now, not so much. But you still have people looking for that sound. Um, a couple of people we were kind of, I think, split on the decision because on one end it's like we don't need the party, we don't need the actual club establishment because we have, well, the internet. So once upon a time we would have to go to the radio or go to the party to hear new music. Now all we have to do is kind of hop on your SoundCloud, and things like that, and through the various streaming platforms. But if you don't know how to find it, you can't. Being that Baltimore club music is a party thing, you know, how do you feel about the club music moving into the internet like that? Like
Uh,
how hard is it to make music for a party? Like even now with the virus going around, how hard is it to make music in an era where we can't collectively get together like how we used to and pack out rooms if we even had a room to pack out?
I don't think it's that hard. It's just more so like where the focus of the people is, and like, you look at like for one thing, like say for instance, I did a favor for somebody the other day, like a DJ for a party, right? And you
Mhm.
know, I didn't know, it was kind of weird because the thing was like the people were kind of sort of in the midst of not knowing what they wanted. Like for one, they had a DJ at their request and all this type of stuff, but they
Right.
didn't understand what it was as a DJ. But what they did was, they wasn't really too familiar with me because I humbly went in as just a you know, a last minute favor, whatever the case, right? And I DJ'd the party, and the person came to me with a playlist, right? But I looked at the
Mm-hmm.
playlist, and the playlist had all like just like personal songs, like like rapper songs, like
Yeah.
Lil Key, like just like a whole like internet song sound and everything, right? And I was like, wow, like this is where it's at now. Like it's pretty much like people, are pretty much just satisfied with just like what they do on the daily, and that's just riding around, listening, and looking pretty to music and stuff, right? That's cool,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like we got to look at it like one of the main things I feel like the city need to tune back into is like the strength and the originality factor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was a thing like back in the day where people would like embrace the sound more and kind of sort of root for the sound more because it was ours. It was like that ours and stuff. And whether if it was easy to find or hard to find or not, somebody always had their mixtape, and in access, like, you know what I'm saying, or their favorite CD that bring or something. Oh, you got that club song? Oh, here to this club song. I like, here, play the, like, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
it's because this young lady who partied was, I think she had graduated high school, so she was like 17, 18. But the
Mm-hmm.
mother was possibly, let's just say, my age or a little older, but it is like a responsibility for us, like our generation, to kind of sort of feed that to our children and stuff, or like let them know that this is ours, like, you know, feed the history, because that's what they doing in Philly. That's what they doing in all over the world, but here,
Right.
every the majority of the people here kind of sort of is okay with trying to be like everybody else in a way, like, you know what I'm saying? Be like
Right.
everybody, or slight everybody else, slight the sound that we built and all this type of stuff, and think it's cool, think it's slick. When at the end of the day, it's just like you're losing the backbone, like you ain't got no type of substance, like you know what I'm saying?
And how important do you think that is to the city? Because not for nothing, that's exactly why I'm doing this project. That's exactly why I'm interviewing you right now and things like that, because the history and that what you said about how this is ours. This is our sound. This is our thing. How important do you think that it is to Baltimore culture, period, that we preserve and celebrate club music?
I think it's very important, but I think also big business is in play to where as though people want to stay safe and shit, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? People want to stay safe because they don't want to mess up this thing that they always dreamt of. They always dreamt of being on the radio. They always dreamt of being on this or being on a thing, and it's just like ain't nobody willing to push the envelope. Like, one of the last people that pushed the envelope and went hard with it was K Swift. Like, she
Right.
kind of like got on people's nerves and shit. Like, and they ain't really give a fuck. Like, people probably and be in the club like, oh man, this club music shit. But bam, she bumping that shit, and the people that like it was the people that was dancing on the people that so called didn't like it. By the end of the party, the
Right.
next party, people like, yo, watch when they play that club music shit. Yo, I'm ready for sure to come dance on me and shit. Like, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? So it take that fearlessness and that originality to really say, fuck the bullshit, fuck these weak ass people that's trying like stay safe and all this stuff, and let's do what we gotta do. Like, let's sell it, let's pass out, let's do this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's do this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? And whoever want to stay safe is going to get boring. Like, safe is going
Right.
to up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not
And,
safe. But, and
yeah, no, I know what you mean. The way you put it,
like, you know,
protect the dream that they had, type of thing. That's a really poignant statement, because like I said earlier, there's a lot of people who look up to music as the gateway, period. Not even just necessarily specifically club music, but within our small city, I always tell people, one of the most amazing things was when I got to go on tour. When I went up to Canada, and when in New York, remember we did that show in Brooklyn in the little place that was, just going to these other places and seeing how much people love club music. People freaking love Baltimore club music, but then sometimes we come home and, like you said, there's people like, oh no, fuck that club music shit, I don't like it, da 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 da, as if the city takes it for granted. And it's always like, I wish I could show everybody here what happens if you go to Ohio or, any random place, and then come with our sound and watch how appreciated it is. And it's like, this is something that defines our city and our people, is kind of like a insular thing. So see, what advice would you give to, outside of the gems you've already given, like the generation of today and the children who are coming up, and like the dancers, what advice would you give them in order to further preserve our sound and history, as opposed to when we're sitting and looking at what they consider the competition in like Philly and Jersey, in a similar type of music, but still something that came from here, what would you tell them as far as preserving us?
I would say, here's something my father used to always say to me when I was younger. He said, always be an originator, never an intimidator. I mean, I don't even know the word. That's a good thing, right? But that was,
That's how often it's like I can't even say it.
I, and so originate, never be an imitator. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thing like that, imitating shit. It's cool if you're getting paid to be on the big screen to imitate the role. But when you're in real life, you gotta kind of sort of stand for what it is, for where you at. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like say for instance, Philly actually created their club sound from a few of my tracks. So they sampled my vocals and then started like, you know, expanding that and incorporating other stuff, and then that was the starting basis. That right there alone let me know from the tracks that they sampled and where I was at in life for the tracks that they sampled, I was on some original shit, and original shit like took me all around the world, like at least my
Right.
voice, like my voice around the world. So it's like even me being in the midst of all the imitating and everything, it's like, all right, I absorbed enough now. So now it's almost like, okay, now, the advice would be to, like, don't be scared to do it different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, do
Mm-hmm.
it. You feel me? Don't, I know it's neo soul out here. I know it's all different type of genres and all that, but there is a way, you know, to hit them on some Big Rare shit, like, and still hit them with a nice ass video. Big Rare, that's what song. Hey, you knuckleheads.
Yep.
Hey, down avenue. So whoever made that, so if that was made today with the technology that's out now and all that, imagine that with a proper video or a nice video.
Right.
People like put like, come on, yo, that'll be like, you know what I'm saying? So many people hesitate when it comes to doing original shit, and it's weird because you got like some of the most popular and all this, like as soon as I ask them, come on, let's do a club song, they like, I don't know, let's do a beat like, I want
Right.
to beat like, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I'm like, all right, shit. I kind of sort of lose interest if it's just like, you want to beat like, come on, let's do it like where we at. Let's make the clubs. Then incorporate a little bit of that. If you
Right.
want. Yeah.
How do we teach the children to appreciate our sound? Because that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying. I mean, everybody's main inspiration is trying to go that type beat, world. And it's like we hear something and want to, for better or worse, imitate it like you're saying. And so with club music being something that, you know, it's built off of samples a lot. Um, it's a remixy genre. So how do you think that we can, I guess, cement the idea that no, even though it is something that was born of samples, our original sound on their own is in there, and it is actually worth it enough to own and bite that bullet, and take that cake when it comes to putting out something original and not being
You,
afraid of it.
you know what? Bam. I thought of something when you were saying that. So you think, you know what the main things people like, from the frontal, like automatic, like with the CNIs and stuff, is like the glitz, the glam, the
Yeah.
glory already and stuff, right? I feel like it'd be nice to have what everything else is doing visually, but having the sound and you know, driving that to be like the club sound. You feel me? Say for instance, bam, Ryda Girl, or I'm trying to think of a club song video and trying to see if there's ever been one that was properly done. Like let's just say I was just watching this Future video, Hard to Choose one, right? I watched
Uh-huh.
the features on Hard to Choose, and it was a nice
Yeah.
video with got and everything. And kind of think about it, I can't think of a club song that was shot properly like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So maybe be in them the stuff that fit their palate and that and please their eyesight, and then kind of sort of hitting them with the sound, like, you know what I'm saying? Even with Diplo and them incorporate the Baltimore Club sound in their proper videos and everything, it still was overdriven by like EDM. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? The EDM
Right.
elements and everything and all that. Even they might have did it big off of it. They still didn't hit it for what it was. Like, they ain't hit it for what it
Right.
is. Like, Baltimore represents like that raw element. Like we was talking about earlier, how you keep, Get My Gun only had 2 sounds in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, nobody fearless enough to make no song with no 2 sounds in it. Matter of fact, I feel like this is the birth of the realization that I gotta do a video for Get My Gun.
I guess it's time to do a video.
I gotta do a proper video for Get My Gun.
It's time to do a video.
Proven sonically. It's already been internationally proven sonically. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna, you know what? I'm gonna speak it into existence. I gotta make that happen and shit. And yeah, I'm the type to like to do a lot of things, but I think I'm gonna reach out for help for this one, because I want this to be done properly. Like, so.
Oh, that sounds hot.
Bring it in. Let's get it. Like, I'm trying to do one of them proper. Probably hit my nephews up. Shouts out to Lasting Visions.
Look,
Yeah.
that sounds like it though. That's a hell of a point too. The visual instance.
Why?
The visual instance of it is so important. And you're right. Now that I think about it, the club music videos that I have seen, first of all, are few and far between, but the main one that comes to mind is Shake It to the Ground. That was the first time I saw a music video, and it was like, okay, this is what it is. And it was just as raw as the music. It was just dancing. It was just niggas dancing and shaking off and dancing in various places. And that kind of became kind of the template, it seems like, for how videos have gone. But you are absolutely right in that the visual aspect, especially now, is so important to it. And so perhaps that's what the next evolution of our music needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned no one would think to make a song with 2 sounds. I think that's really interesting because club music has grown and it has swerved a little bit more into the EDM world. And I remember I was telling some, some people will send me tracks. They're like, oh, Ducky, listen to this. And I would tell them it's too complicated because I'm used to listening to your club music. And it is that simple. It is that raw. That word pops up in every interview, raw. That is what Baltimore club music is. And it's like almost an over seasoning, like when you cook too much and you put too much salt and pepper in it, even though your dish could be good. And it's like, let's strip it back a little bit. We don't need the MSG. We don't need the, all the sodium and everything in it. The raw sound is what drives it. And I feel like having that powerful, raw, simple sound behind a more sophisticated type of video, that's probably the answer.
Exactly. And of course, consistency. I was my sound was pretty much born from consistency. It was being driven by fun. So the elements of my sound: consistency, fun, and fearlessness. You know what I'm
There
saying?
you go.
On the way of growing older, I began to like think a bit more, and that kind of sort of was the opposite of where it was born. So now I'm not going to discredit thinking more. I'm gonna just reorganize, put the thinking somewhere else, and then still keeping those elements from which my sound was kind of sort of born from, be the driving force. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And with that, me not, in this reflective state, I'm able to even remember those elements that I just now shared.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking as much. I was doing more reflecting, and then, I probably got to a point where it was like, damn, you're more thinking too much, man. Fuck. Like, no, I don't need to cry about it. Let's embrace that. Let's incorporate that. But let's not let that be the main thing, like, thinking and shit, because people think club music is this, or think that, that or whatever. But when it comes to it, play that shit. I bet you move. Don't even think about it. Just move.
Exactly.
Don't even think if your homeboy gonna laugh at you, like, you know what I mean? That's on some punk ass shit. You trying to be accepted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Don't try to say it slick a certain way. Go ahead and move. I bet you if that girl shake her ass on, or that person
She's
shake their ass,
gonna do something.
so a lot of people, they didn't learn how to front too much. I'm like tired of that
Mm-hmm.
shit. But I ain't gonna walk around complaining. But it's just like, that can't be the driving force of this city, yo. Like, me going to Philly like a year and a half ago and seeing that, it was like a wow. Like, it was like, wow, yo. I'm staying in Baltimore now. I'm living in, and I ain't see this nowhere. In Baltimore. Like, and here it is up the street in Philly. I thought it was just in London I thought it was just in Sweden that they were still going up. Man, they doing this shit in New York. They doing this shit in Wichita, but it's still an underground thing, because,
Mm-hmm.
even myself, I ain't even incorporate the fearlessness and go hard on no proper video with Get My Gun.
Right.
Or even this new evolved version of Ryda Girl that I just cooked up recently and stuff like
There you go.
You feel me? Like, a lot of stuff. Like, I've been cooking, but I feel like I ain't gonna cook and just serve to somebody that ain't gonna know that they eating top shelf. You know what I mean? You gotta know you eating exotic
That's
food.
important, and that's important.
You ain't eating McDonald's. Like, McDonald's seem like they winning because they got long lines and all that. But
Right.
Check out Slutty Vegan. Slutty Vegan got the lines of wrapping around the corner, and it's healthy, and it's exotic and all that. Like, but it ain't in Baltimore, but it's from Baltimore.
Right.
I mean, I ain't trying to do I don't want to say the old broken record shit. Like, man, I'm about to move out of Baltimore and watch this shit gonna blow up. Like, I did it in LA. I moved and everything, traveled the world and stuff, but it's just like, I was like, nah, yo, like everybody already did that. Like, everybody did it safely like that, and said they got their wealth by traveling and all that. But I do feel like it's here. Like, I'm living it every day. I'm seeing it every day, but it's still like the people that's here is just like not really like activating it and shit. Like, not
Right.
accepting. You know what I'm saying?
There's something missing.
Mm-hmm.
There's something missing.
It's boring. Easy is boring to me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Easy is boring. Like, I could have easily attained millions and all this type of stuff by selling out or whatever the case, but it's just like, it ain't that deep, but it's still like, yo, I feel like I'm more fed, I'm properly fulfilled when it comes to churning the soil, when it comes to actually, like, wow, look at that stem coming out with the leaf, like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like, all of that, yeah, that's in me, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm here.
Man, you dropped a lot of gems and inspiration for me, Blaqstarr. I appreciate you.
David,
I
nigga, that,
appreciate you. So what's next? Where can we find? We'll wait for so those who are looking, because I asked the people what I should ask, and somebody told me to ask you about all of your older stuff and where to find it, and how come sometimes it's so hard to find your actual older records. So where can we find you? And tell me what's coming up next.
just from this interview alone, you know what I'm saying, I'm about to revisit everything that I'm working on in the studio, because, along with, me loving challenges and everything, I have to kind of not make it too hard for myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a pace myself and really, like, reorganize things and present what's already there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like this interview alone inspired me to make some type of Blaqstarr Classics project or something like that.
Hey, very good. Do it.
Thank you.
Hey, you knuckleheads. Walking down the avenue.
That was fun. It was so fun. The Instagram was like you're having too much fun. But we're gonna wait and we're gonna go live again because we're not done. This is freaking King Blaqstarr. Wave at everybody. Yeah, shout out to everybody who checked in. As always, thank you for tuning in and listening to our foolery. But no, this interview was super lit. And I just talked to Black and we decided that we want to keep talking because why not? If you have any questions you want me to ask Black, put them in the comments, or anything that we talked about that you want to get into, let me know. It's pretty, this interview was a little deep and a little important. Talking about, really, we're about to get into what is the future going to look like. Apparently, I done inspired Blaqstarr to go ahead and revisit some old projects and figure out where we're going to go from there. But hold on. I hate technology. Only a little bit. And yes, I did say the silver screen earlier because love was on the silver screen. And again, if you didn't know, Dark City, the Beat TT's film, that just launched with the Maryland Film Fest this past week. I think that they're still airing it. So if you have a chance, I don't know all of the specific details on that because I'm a little lazy. If you haven't, you should be able to access that, and for some bucks, check it out. And if you haven't, it's pretty awesome. And it definitely tells a story of Baltimore and Baltimore club music. Where did he go? I'll only sit up here for a few more minutes if he doesn't come back in. But no, what did I learn? What did I learn today? I learned that Tote It was Blaqstarr's first song. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I did know that Get My Gun was an early one, but I didn't know it went that far. In fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to come back in now unless he pops up in like 2 minutes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a Blaqstarr part 2. Right. There's 3 different versions of Tote It. I know what's funny is that what he was saying, I know the different songs that he's talking about, but in my head, I never considered them being those versions of those songs. I thought that they were different songs. I didn't know that it was the same song and he just built them different. And now that changes the whole way that I want to play a Blaqstarr set, because now I just want to play those 3 songs in a row every single time, because it's apparently part of the story. That's lit. What else did we learn today? We learned that Blaqstarr, like all of us, he loved the Docs the most, and Hammer Jacks right up after it. And we learned that we need a house. We need to just get a bunch of money together and buy a building, and buy a venue, because nothing much is going to go on. But I guess we can shoot all the videos we want while Covet's here. Okay, I'm bored, and Blaqstarr's taking too long to get back, so I won't save this one, but I'll leave it up, because there's only a couple. Oh, wait, no, look, he's here. Psych, I talk too much. Yeah. So, I don't know. I gotta go get the latest. I don't know what's going on with the Paradox and Hammerjacks now. All I know is it was the Paradox got bought by Hammerjacks, and they were on their way to opening it. But that was 2 years ago. And it's just been sitting there since. So we can't do anything about it until Black, have you heard anything about that?
No, I ain't nothing about it. Like, it was like, honestly, like after, like for real, outside and from reflection, like it was like after K Swift passed away, like it's like the whole interest in the whole club scene pretty much faded away and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, even when like Diplo and all them, you know, did they thing or whatever, it still wasn't
It
what it
wasn't the
was.
same.
You know, like of course they just did what, you know, the regular George Washington and stuff do, but that still ain't what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think that we can ever that's one of the more moodier parts of the conversation. I say all K Swift definitely, we don't need to talk about her impact because we know it. She was club music. I still correct people to this day. People think that she made all this music, you know, and I'm like, no, Blaqstarr did, you know, or no, like Raleigh did. Like she was the DJ, and it's just, you know, but she put so much energy and life into the idea of club music, and in that was instrumental to making the parties what they were and things like that. And after her passing, it was a complete shift, and everyone kind of just didn't show up anymore. And it was really interesting. And at the same time, while that is going on, you have a different type of party that moved into Baltimore, because that's when the bottle service type of party started getting a little popular around here, as opposed to our, you know, just shake off in a basement dungeony type situation where it was raw and dirty and underground, how club music is. Do you think that we'll ever kind of get that feeling back? What happened? Is he gone?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You breaking up a little.
Hold on,
Oh, now we're outside.
yeah, I'm trying to get the right reception. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so I feel like
No.
about doing the proper videos and stuff. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you
I
hear me?
can hear you, but your video a little crummy.
All right. Trying to get some. Dang, I'm in a bad area, I think. You think I'm in a good area?
I don't know. I can kind of hear you now.
All right, here we go. How about now?
Okay, good.
All right, so basically, I think
Yeah.
that Blaqstarr classic thing, I'm about to jump on. I feel like Jesus flowing, and I think videos need to pop off on all the tracks around these Blaqstarr classics I'm about to represent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you get any ideas, if you want to help out, let me know. But right now, I got the title, and then I got the track titles. But as far as the essence and the visuals and presentation of it, let's
Mm-hmm.
go.
I'm here. Whatever you need, sir. We just gotta figure how to do that. So let me see. What do you think? What do you think that Baltimore deserves then? Like, I feel like the project that you're saying, talking about, that's an extremely exciting idea, and I know a lot of people would latch on to that. A true re-release or production of the classics that you've created and more, because you never stopped making club music. You took a little break, sort of, in there, sort of, but you never really stopped with the club music, you know. And I know you're probably sitting on tons of tracks that we haven't heard yet. So for you to do that and kind of be a jump start back to what that was, that'll be kind of like what's it called when you're in cardiac arrest and they do the little electrical shock to your chest and shit. It's like, I feel like that especially involving the dancers of today into this project, could definitely be a jump start to the soul of Baltimore. What do you see on the other side of that? What would that look like to you?
Uh,
As far as, I think it would be No, go
But that
ahead.
made me think of I thought about how now when I look at my life, I got three beautiful children, and all of them are like their ages right now is 2, 4, and 6, right? Shouts out
Mm-hmm.
to Shiva, Shay, and
Yeah.
Ryda. So basically, my
Yes, the
children,
baby.
like we've been experimenting on tracks and stuff too, right? But their voices is everything that I was imagining back in the day. Like I was imagining, being able to sample my children of the day voices. Like so now I feel like it's just up to my energy with all my blessings and everything that I can attain now, and then
Mm-hmm.
sharing it with the world. Because back in the day, it was a bit, of a struggle doing tracks with people, and then going back and forth with the, oh yeah, I don't want my voice on there no more. Oh yeah, all day, like But now
Mm-hmm.
it is. I ain't gotta worry about that shit. I'm gonna utilize my children vocals, make these hits.
That's how. Do you think that do you feel that if you use the baby's voices, that'll pigeonhole it into children's music? Because that's what I wanted to say earlier. I completely remember that. One of the stigmas that I've come across in DJing and even just listening to people's reception of club music is that they think it's for the kids,
Um,
despite despite how vulgar and raunchy the club music may get. They consider it something that's either kiddie music for people who are younger, or the younger people think it's grown for music. Like Mello, I interviewed last week, he said that his first perception of club music was that it was grown folk party music. You know what I mean? So he didn't pay attention to it at first. And then there are people who you ask about club music today, those of us who are a little older, and they're like, oh, nah, I don't listen to that. That's what the kids listen to. Do you think that it really makes a difference? And
uh,
but see, I feel like with you win regardless, especially with Get O'Reilly screaming on the track. I can definitely I can definitely see that being amazing.
I
But
know, right?
how do
So,
you think? Go ahead.
cause I'm looking at like how I because now my children like they watch stuff on like YouTube and TV, and like how it's some of the most boring and stuff to me. Like they could watch like somebody playing toys or some shit, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, so why y'all watching this weird shit, right? And then they like, Dad, leave me alone and all that, right? So I look at it and I see the views is like 10 million views and shit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, hold on, what's going on in the world? Okay, so now it's like, if that's happening in the world and it's not happening in Baltimore, and you look at like certain things and the results of what's happening in your own hometown or whatever the case, and it's like the reach is probably 2 million or most, or probably whatever,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of thousands. But if you look at the simplicity of how my sound was and all this type of stuff, and the simplicity of what's going on around the world visually, maybe it's not even that hard to like you know make this Blaqstarr Classics be the kickoff, and then I hit them with the easily digestibles of right now, or the simplicity of how it's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely. Would you be mm, no, I'm thinking like a bunch of ideas now that you said this. Is now like a work session. Cause that could be crazy, especially if you have
Shit.
you like no, like I'm really like
Cause we even got like, should I say it now or not?
no, say it.
I mean, we even got some stuff that we cooked up. Remember, like in them few sessions we had.
Yeah,
That's still on the computer and all that. But I
no.
feel like even now, this interview kicked off the platform, or even the inspiration, where to send it, or where to start to push it and feed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Give it to the people that's going to eat it for real, or even an angle. Like, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? And like I say, it's not is not going at the radio, because here it is. I pretty much came up with everybody that's on the radio right now, and
Right.
just knowing, just knowing the whole, the respective flow of what's going on. Is their job. You feel me? It's their
Right.
job to, do what they got to do and all that. But it's not going at them. It's almost going after what their job attaining. Like, let's just say the corporation, Radio One.
Right.
Okay, how you gonna make Radio One want your shit? You gotta feed it to the world so Radio One can ask for your shit. Like, you know what
I
I'm
see
saying?
what you're saying.
Exactly.
That's where I think the finding the people comes in at, because like I said, there are people who want it. There's people who want that music and that sound and this feeling and what you've created so bad, but are turned off by how that, like I say every week, there used to be a time when we knew that we could hear club music on the radio every night. And that's still there, but only for like a few minutes. We used to be able to get an hour of club music, never mind what was going on in the middle of the day, if the midday mix was about to happen and stuff like that. And so it's always one of those, how should we just divorce ourselves from thinking that the radio is mandatory? Or should it just be, like you said earlier in the very beginning, if you build it, they will come?
Definitely build it.
Definitely
build it. Definitely build it. They will come. But I also say, from the story of me talking about how what my children were watching and how they were watching like something with like people just playing with toys and it had so many views.
Right.
Taking the approach of what's going on now, like, you know what I'm saying, like go ahead and start your YouTube channels and stuff. I'm about to get more into that myself. Bandcamp over, Spotify approach and all that. Like, let's get back into popping up the trunk and pulling out the CDs type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, start selling USB drives instead of CDs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, easily.
Yeah.
How do you think, what do you think the city can do for club music? For a while, I think I've talked to you about this before. I'm a staunch believer of the fact that club music should be supported by the city, the same way the city supports like Artscape, and we have those types of events, and the way like the city protects Micah, things like that. How do you think that the city of Baltimore can best serve club music?
Definitely by like giving it more like of a platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know everything is definitely happening in the world, like, but at the same time, to feed that is almost reapproaching how we accepting things and how we, the other day I did a festival with my man Josh Stokes. It was called the Love Fest.
Yeah.
So the thing about that was, we went guerrilla style. Like, I set up the sound, with the structure of his idea and everything, and guerrilla style meaning that we didn't take the approach of asking so and so or figuring out if we can do it, because one of the things that he said was like, yo, like they feeding off of us anyway.
Exactly.
They feed. You got the Crown, you got the whole station north for all this and all that. They feeding off of us and trying to blind it and make it like whatever the case, and it's like falling right in lines of that shit. Like nah, yo, like they need us just as much as they need us. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, we need to start exercising our rights and doing what we do, and honoring our sound, honoring ourselves, and then just moving in that way, like, you know what I'm saying?
That's real. And that's what I mean about, and I think it's a perfect combination here, because that's what I mean about Baltimore music is underground because of the way our media goes, and just because of, I guess, the nature of the city. We're underground, period. And so you can't be underground in the mainstream world. It doesn't work out. And the only thing that does happen is we end up getting fed upon. And that's kind of the feeling of what's happening, especially, when you do mention the station. The Station North area is so important because it's one of the few, what's it called? It's one of the few art districts that actually has nightlife in it. The other art districts here, which do get funded directly through the state, they're more theater, they're more, like visual arts. But the Station North area has all the music. So for you to see how we do have to throw, like you said, guerrilla style shows, and just run up on a stage and do the shit. And even back, like when you had back when in the Invisible Majority headquarters, like even those parties, they were underground parties, but they were parties. Like we definitely got it in. And it's like, I feel like we have to sort of rebuild that, and it makes us kind of like on some, what's it called? Like, it's almost like a fugitive type of move, because we do have to build it from an underground thing, but it doesn't have to be necessarily underground quality. That's why the whole art scene right now is very DIY. But that to me goes hand in hand with the rawness that Baltimore club music is anyway.
I agree. And I was just talking to my man Carez, Carez Marcel?
Yeah, Carez Marcel.
Yeah, so he was talking about how, he shared some gems with me, like on how he appreciated my sound, like back in the day. He was like, yo, you know what I was thinking about, yo? You should come up a plug-in, yo. I was like, what you mean? He's like a plug-in, yo. If you think about it, back in the day, whatever you was doing is like, people were scared to do it, and even when Kanye and them tried to do it, it was still too clean. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, like, if you look at on a production program on like Pro Tools and stuff, and you put distortion on shit, it still sound clean. And it's weird how to explain what I was doing, but at the same time, I do agree with that. Like, it's like a thing where if my music was too dirty, if it was too clean back in the day, it probably wouldn't have worked. The fact
I agree completely.
The fact that it was the way it was and it's still not, it don't matter what a big time producer said to me at the time or none of that shit. The fact that it worked and it was working, that's what attracted the MIAs, the Diplos, the Skrillexes and all that, because it was respect. It was out of that love. Like, yo, shit, you can't even hate on this nigga. Like, he did it with less. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He did it with less. He doing what we trying to do now with less. Like, so that was my stance coming in that field. That's where my respect came from. It was like damn, like, you know what I'm saying? I in all, I think it was pretty much my fearlessness. Like, you know what I'm saying? Being fearless, really pushing forth with that. You know what I'm saying? And thinking about how the clubs was back in the day, like the Tunnel and all that, how Buckshot used to just get off work and probably come and just jump on the mic and wild a whole club out. Pork Chop used to just come down. You know what I'm saying? It was always that openness, but it's still structure, right? But I believe that structure nowadays is probably there, but I don't see it how it was back in the day. Back in the day, it was more free form. Now it's more a bit too pretty, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know. I think a nigga gotta have a bottle in his hand and the mic with his pinky poked out to be on the mic and all that shit. Like, I don't really know, like, but I feel like it is like still safe ways and safe things that need to be done. That's being operated from another agenda, like outside of our own and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like I don't know. I don't know if Buckshot on it. No, Buckshot on it, but yo, I commend yo because like yo was like one of the
His
ones
birthday
back
this
in the
year.
day. He was one of the ones back in the day that kept it going. Like you really you paid attention to the sound, but also it was being driven by the energy of the person on the mic that was like
Exactly.
that was ruthless, that was relentless. Like you know what I'm saying? That was you know what I mean? Made everybody feel like they was what was the word? Made it feel like you was at the best party in the fucking world at that night. Like, you know what I'm saying? And to
Yes.
have somebody have those elements, you know, being backed by the sound, that's also what made the sound pop off the way it was popping off back then, you know?
Right. And see, that's what I meant by how do we evolve um club music into this era, because that was such an important element of how it was, having people like Buckshot on the mic, or even Miss Mama. Swift, when she was with us, she do the same thing. And it was something about the host. It's like, yeah, we have the DJ, yeah, we have, the people around, but it was who was on the mic helping to drive all of that. So without having someone on the mic listening, and essentially directing the party, because they would let you know what to do. Like Pork Chop, for example, he's a perfect one. You know, without having a party to have a host in it, do you think that that's too much of a lost element? Because for me, remembering my earliest memories of loving club music outside of when I was little, once I got old enough to party, it was at the parties. Even though I would drive around in the car listening to it, I would put it on in the house, when I'm cleaning up and listen to it and things like that. But it was about being in the party and hearing that. The host disappearing, do you think that has a really, really big effect on what's happens as well?
I definitely do. I definitely do because it's like, you know, how can I say? You have people, basic, kind of sort of following the safe lines. Probably only doing what radio DJs are doing right now.
Yeah,
Bucks and Pork Chop back in the day wasn't doing what radio DJs doing right now. Like Pork Chop is a radio DJ right now. You know what I'm saying? But
right,
like he still when he came on the scene, he pretty much changed the game because he incorporated what the radio wasn't doing at a certain point. Like, you know what I'm saying?
right.
And I feel like, Buckshot on the other hand, he was raw as well. But you know what I'm saying? I just feel like, by him not DJing and all that, and hosting was his main thing. I feel like it should have been another pocket for him to be able to like thrive in. Like, you know what I'm saying? It should be a thing where like a Buckshot and the Pork Chop should be sitting on a couple million right now based off of
Seriously.
what they did for the sound and all this type of stuff. And every producer, as well as myself, like, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
it's like it needs to be revisited, it needs to be refurbished, and it has to be like invested into, like, you know what I'm saying? Invested into and followed upon, whatever investments were fed to us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
there's no reason why we got like this classic sound and you got some of the pioneers working jobs right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or you got
exactly.
some of the pioneers that's just so like uptight. You know what I'm saying? They scared to share a dollar or scared to share anything because they in competition with every little inch of everything out of insecurity or fear. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I could speak on that because I've never been like uptight. You feel me? And that's probably
Right.
one of my things I need to balance is to tighten up a bit. But I've always shared the light. I've always shared, my resources and all this type of stuff, and I still
Mhm.
will. But I feel like it's people that pretty much got more than me that can you know pretty much do what I'm doing to make it better for more, like make it better for the people that came up with me and shit, like or the people I came after and all that.
No, that's super wonderful to hear you touch on that because to me, um, looking at you as a fan and even thinking about you as a collaborator, working on what the things that we've worked on together, it's like you have a fun kind of rope to balance because on one end of the rope you have what you said earlier, in which you're like, I'm not gonna serve these people these food unless they know how good of the food they're eating type of situation. And then on the other side of the rope, you do have that graciousness and you have the fact that you are so willing to, to give and help and teach. But yeah, it's like it's really hard to do both and still preserve yourself as an artist.
Yeah, because prime example, that made me think of when I had filled in for this music production class for Five Star Enterprises, DJ Five Star, right? So I
Uh-huh.
was working with kids, and you know, they never heard of me, or they probably heard of me. My music was considered old school
Oh,
music.
right. It's old.
So when I play songs, they're like, "Oh, I know that song. That's that Jersey music."
Yeah, hello. That happens.
I'm like, "Whoa!" So these like, and
Like
I'm
you all
like,
failed. Instant F.
so I'm like, okay, all right, there's a problem here. I don't know exactly how to approach it, but goddamn, that was purr. It was really sent. Like it wasn't trying to be funny or nothing.
Yeah,
And I wasn't in there trying to catch every fly that was going out the thing. Like, no, it's me, it's me, it's me. Like I
right,
was like, you know what? This need to be revisited from the core some type of way. Like, you know what I'm saying?
right.
Like they don't even know their history. Like history has been forgotten.
History has been
So
forgotten, but also never taught. And that's
yeah,
why it's
but
like,
not honored, all that shit.
from the project that you're talking about that has been birthed through this conversation, that's a way to start that, giving them something that's fresh that they can visually look, but then still hear like, because no BS. I was out last night with some folk who probably around like 21, 22 years old, and I got to play in your club music, and we was in there geeking. And one of them, he came in and he, of course, knew all the dances. He knew the song. He's like, "Oh yeah, I ain't hear that shit in a minute. This that retro shit." And I was like, "Retro? What?
Like
like, what do
like
you
it was just
mean retro?" And then it's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. We are like 30 now." This music is like over, almost 2 decades. Oh, your music's almost 2 decades old. But it's still just as fire and it's still just as hot and it's still, I've seen it and I'm like, that's not just me tooting your horn because I love you. I've witnessed it today. You can go to any type of room and like you said, I bet you gonna move. It's something about it. And I just feel really, really, really strongly about the magic behind that, so to speak, being lost and not recognized anymore, if it ever was. And I'm like, I personally feel that your music and club music in general, Baltimore club music in general, has been entirely too influential in so many other projects, you know, that it doesn't get anywhere near as much good credit as it deserves. And that's what leads to instances like you just mentioned, like, "Oh yeah, this that Jersey club," and it's like, "Hey, stop doing that." It's like, not saying there's anything wrong with the Jersey club music because that has its own, place. But for so many people to constantly forget not realize what they're actually listening to. That's like a big problem to me.
Yeah, and then it was like, okay, so now when I do go on YouTube and you type in like Jersey club music and stuff, you gotta look at like it's a lot of it. Like it's almost like they tapped into what's going on and shit. Like it's a lot of it and it's fresh, and it's almost like the approach I took when I first started making tracks and stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
So now I ain't gonna be the old head that's like, oh, them young motherfuckers. Oh no,
Yeah.
I ain't hate thing. I'm gonna take the Jay-Z approach. I'm gonna reinvent myself. You know what I mean? But along with that, since it's a whole sound, I'm gonna do that with Blaqstarr sound. But since it's a whole sound, I advise for that to be the approach for every producer or every club producer in Baltimore. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the only way we gonna attain like the money we never seen before or the drain that we never is if we consistently tap into what's going on and then feed it, to feed it, like, you know what I'm saying? What you put out in the universe, what you get in.
That's real. Let me see. As far as have you ever collaborated on a track with a Jersey or Philly club producer, like fully, instead of like, I know like it's always weird
Example.
when you look through music because there's a bunch of that they sample you, and it's like I listen to random Philly songs. I'm sorry, Jersey songs more so all the time, and I always hear your voice. Or in Philly songs, like I know Sega's done some stuff, but have you ever approached or been approached by a Jersey or Philly club person as far as making an actual collaborative project, mixing the two sounds, so to speak?
I have, there's been some that hit me and they always wanted me to re-sing like the old stuff, right?
Right.
Which I still consider to be safe because I'm like, all right, if that's the case, you might as well just sample and just do what I was doing back in the day and stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like that hasn't happened yet. Although unofficially, I've pretty much collaborated with all of them, or all the tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously. Unofficially.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's cool.
I'm definitely open to it.
I've heard lore of prior to her passing, K Swift was making a big effort to try to link the cities of club music and was trying to push all of us together. Do you feel like that's something? Do you feel that right now Baltimore should be should be trying to catch up or get on the same speed as other music, or continue essentially minding our business and just growing home?
I think that if we were to, like right now, I don't know the last time any other heavy hitters put out like something like, you know what I'm saying, including myself. Like, let's say, when the last time you heard a new Raw Leach club track? I don't
Right.
know, you might have, but I didn't. When the last time you heard a Technique's new club track? A Scotty B. I've heard a Booman new club track, but
Yeah.
on Instagram, and I see him, constantly pushing his news joints. But where's the stream of the people that's not scared to accept our sound and really like embrace this shit? Because it's quality music. It's quality. The shit that I heard, oh man, just now make, it was like quality, like, you know what I'm saying? And I liked it. But like, where's the platform of the people that's gonna really give praises where it's due? You know what I'm saying? Give props where it's due and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that's my thing. Is like, of course I love it. Of course I got it. But if it's only gonna get 100 views and all that shit, I'd rather just keep it on my computer or sell it to a
Right.
company that's give me, give me prop with what I would need for it and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't got no problem doing that because rather than getting 100 views or 100 likes or 1,000 likes or whatever, I'd rather get $30,000 for it and nobody know that, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case, like, you know what I'm saying. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I feel like it is like a thing to make it a community effort to kind of sort of like go after the goal and spread it out to make it more repetitionally or consistently shared and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's go
Yeah.
ahead and start a company that's do licensing and have like groups of people being involved and get off of this air thing or this exclusive thing because at the end of the day, ain't nobody getting the right money for it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So let's all go after it and still be open to sharing and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I had a studio, you know, down Lamondo and all this type of stuff, but
Right.
I'm about to wrap things up there because it's just like, you know, for one, is always somebody that just don't really want to invest in themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What the consistency of the energy of it, or it be like the money that they even able to attain. Like it could be a little bit of money. Like I didn't even made things super cheap for people, and
Mm-hmm.
it still becomes like a thing of yo, you think I could like yo, damn, how much more of a discount do you want? Like you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't you know that energy will turn into the quality of your product? Like you really want to get over on yourself like that? Like you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like so, I mean, at the end of the day, I know it's discernment and who I choose to deal with, but at the same time, it's just I get more out of working with people that's not as established because I feel like there's more beauty in the seeing them find themselves and then taking off from there.
Right.
But goddamn, it's been one of my hardest struggles. It's almost like if I was selling juices or whatever, right? These
Yeah.
quality juices, you know what I'm saying? All over the world, they're $100 a bottle, right? And I'm like, I'm gonna make the sacrifice and make this $100 juice $25 for them. You know why? Because I got it like that. I could do it or whatever. I will present this to the person. It's the same thing that the world standard price is $100. They still trying to get a deal from the $25, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, you know what? You know what I'm saying? And the love for challenge that I have is keeping me going and not making me give up on people. But it's just like, yo, come on, yo, people need to realize, yo, that getting over shit, that's like beyond the most weakest shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you losing yourself. You losing yourself. You burning bridges indirectly and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like,
And
you
one thing
really
I
putting all that energy into trying to get over? Like, what?
and one thing I've learned when it comes to something like that is, as hard as it is, it does come down to a you get what you pay for situation. you know,
Exactly.
and it's like a discount is nice because again, like not for nothing, we don't have to cut no corners. Baltimore is broke. We are a city of broke niggas. We are poor. There's not too many people who do have it like that, and when they do, they kind of buy their way into the fast version
And
instead
I
of
think one of the
investing.
go ahead, my bad.
No, you're good. I was just saying that they'll people will kick out dough and they'll look for the fast track version instead of moving slower and investing that in. Meanwhile, you have artists who don't have it, period, who they are just trying to look and just trying to come up as quick as possible. And it's like, as long as there's a collective poverty, situation going on, it's like, how do we take that and then turn that into something that makes sense for them? Because you're right, there are so many people who are just trying to cut the corner.
Cut the corner, cheat themselves, or get over on you to try to make the thing. Like, and it's like, yo, at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, I hope this person see that it's not me losing, but they about to lose me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like,
Exactly.
I'm always gonna be in the flow of go, right? But it's like, and to push me away, but to push me away in a way that I kind of sort of just block it off, it's protecting myself at that point. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's protecting myself from being drained and then having this person like, cause throughout I could just think about like recent situations. Like I've helped people like you know getting getting the flow of attaining like money through like job flows that they never looked at and all this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And through it was still a situation where, okay, prime example, it was this thing called Instacart and shit, right?
Yep.
So it was a person that I knew that was hard up for cash at the time, and I introduced them to Instacart. And this was right before the pandemic had started and stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic had started, and Instacart was pretty much paying like $100 in tips each delivery or some shit. So you liable was to make like anywhere from 100, at least $100 a day and stuff, right?
Right.
And that's like one or two rides or something, right? So, you know, I let the person or let a few people like share their account with me and all this type of stuff until they got their account right. They got their account right, and they showed me, what they made in 1 week. They made like $900 in 1 week. I was like, yo, this was up. So they brought one of my juices and stuff and asked could they hold one or whatever case, right? So I let them hold the juice, and here it is. It was a week later. They ain't give me the money for the juice, that I still gave them a deal for. And it was like, yo, you think I could pay you when it's clear in my account instead of pressing the instant button to go to my account? Mind you, that pressing the instant button to go to your account only would have charged you 50 cents. So you ain't want to lose 50 cents, but you wanted me to wait for the money
Wait
that
for
I
a
gave.
week.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I helped you attain that money. So I said, you know what, yo? It's either this person don't like me, trying to pull me down, or something. But I didn't exalted resources to out of love, and I'm noticing like drainage out of hate, like that type of energy. I'm just trying to stay away from. Period in life,
Right.
whether thing, and I feel like my heart sometimes could get in the way and still have me associated with like certain things like that, and I'm working on like just steering clear of that. You know what I'm saying? In my music and my artistic endeavors and life period, like what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like when it come down to life path numbers, I'm a life path 6,
Yep.
and that's of like nurturing and everything, and I can't help it but to want to help and nurture and all that, but it could be to a fault. And and now in my life, as I'm getting wiser and older, I'm realizing how I gotta balance that,
Mm-hmm.
my Libra scales and stuff.
Yo,
So,
shout out to Libra gang, Libra gang.
mhm.
That's how we do. It's all about the balance, though. And I feel that. I feel that completely. And I understand how that has been kind of a struggle as far as moving forward to keep it going, because that's one of the questions I was going to ask you earlier. How, after all this time, do you still feel so fresh in it? You know what I mean? And because again, Tote It and them, like I said, we coming up on 20 years, if not already. And for 20 years, you've been Pasega. For 20 years, you've been at it, and it's stayed fresh. And it's like, I know you've worked with hundreds of people here alone, probably. And for that love and that drive to have stayed fresh in you all this time, and even after going to other places, like you mentioned, oh, you could sound like everyone else, and when I leave Baltimore, I'm gonna blow up this way and leave it all behind. You never did that. I don't count your couple year vacation in LA, because everybody does that. But just
Uh,
staying fresh and staying with that drive that you've had this whole time, despite people who may have tried to piggyback off you in not the most healthiest ways, is real. And I was wondering how much of that comes from the love of the city, versus just the love of what you're doing.
I think it's more so the love of what I'm doing, no matter where I'm at, because it's like, what that made me think of is how, like I said, like the nurturing part is something that, at certain points in my life until recently, even still now, it's feel like something I can't help. You know what I'm saying? But I'm working on the balance of, you know, incorporating no more, and that's just the, you know, out of, you know, protection and all that type of stuff. And
Right.
whichever way it go, like, not saying I'm walking around like scared or nothing. It's just like now I gotta protect myself from giving too much of myself to even put myself in positions of, you know, having to do something to somebody or somebody trying to do something to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case, like, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's the hardest part of me, because what I present and what I share is just like, yo, how could you try to not appreciate this? How could you
Mm-hmm.
not appreciate it? When it's not even coming from me, it's coming through me. I ain't doing it for
Mm-hmm.
nothing. I feel like my duty on this earth, like, you know, or one of my duties on this earth, you know, on this planet.
That's real.
You know, and, you know, throughout my life, you know, it's been so many times that I could go around boasting on positions that I feel like, you know, a normal-minded person to say, yo, I'm the reason why that person is. I'm the reason why this person, I'm the one, I'm me. Like, but nah, I ain't even got that in me, because I feel like, you know, like I say, it's not done yet. It's not even, that was, everything I've done so far and everything that I do is so effortless. And I feel like all of my blessings and the position and, you know, where I've been in the world and where I'm going, that come from my genuine operation throughout this life and this time. Like, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? So regardless of what somebody can try to make up bad about me and all this type of stuff. And what I just realized recently, everybody that got like a problem with me, like recently, I had a falling out with somebody who was a good friend for a short period of time in my life, right? This is just an
Mm-hmm.
example to help me realize, like, you know, how people fall out with me, right? So I think I be too nice in a way, and
Mm-hmm.
then soon as I give them a slight no, or like a balance of myself, and like, hold on, what about me? Like, you want everything? They kind of sort of like just go
They freak
berserk.
out. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the person who I knew for a short period of time, and they was hard up for some cash, and they needed to figure out how to make some money. So I was like, okay, well, I got a juice business, right? That I haven't like really revamped in a while. I still got the equipment. If you want to get that back started with me, then, you know, we could work out a deal.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
I can, you know, I'm gonna share the fact. I said I could pay you $50 for prep. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to prep every day, that could be $50 a day, and I could pay you $5. I mean, I could pay you half of every juice that you sell. Now the juices, you know, suggested retail was $10, right? You
Mm-hmm.
could do what you want with the juices once you get it, but just know that they suggested retail $10. So here it is. The person was like, well, okay, that's cool. So as soon as we get started, they had one work day and they couldn't complete the work. It was not hard work. It's just like, you know, you got, you know, cut the vegetables out or whatever the case, right? So
Yeah.
here it is. They conked out of the work, and on the way home, of me taking them home, they was, you know, they still wanted to get paid. I went on ahead and still paid them, even though they ain't finished the work. And then we revisited the conversation, and they were kind of mad because they was like, well, how come I can't get 50% of all the sold products? I said, why would you want 50% of all the sold products if you're not putting up 50% to
Of the work.
the work and the products that I'm buying to make? You know what I'm saying? You put up 50% when I'm buying the produce. You put up 50% when I'm doing that, and then we talk about you getting 50% of everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't get it. So as soon as I said no, that's not the thing. Like, that don't make sense. I won't be able to keep on in this sector of the business flow that I do if you was to get 50% of everything just out of the blue.
Right.
Why can't you be $50 for prep? You know what I'm saying? And if you do that, and if you carry through and do that every day, that's $1,500 a month. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And then on top of that, you can sell the juices, and that could be $5 per juice you getting off and not putting up no money. Like,
Right.
so people at the end of the day just want to take advantage and drain you, and then at the end of the day they want to cry and talk about anybody helping them and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
Right. Because people
it's
don't
a lot.
understand help is not a handout. Those are two different things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh
But
man.
very clear, all of that. I just made it out of a situation like that. So it's like it helped remind me that, for one, it did like re-inspire me to start the juice flow back up.
Mm-hmm.
But then for two, it's just like yeah, man, I ain't in it to be like waste time or like be playing around with people who wanna imbalancedly do things and shit. You wouldn't go up to the white man and say that. You want to go up to the white man and say, "Well, I want 50% of everything selling this McDonald's but you want to do it to me, the
Right.
epitome a black person. Like my name is Blaqstarr, right? So
Right.
I feel like subconsciously, some type of way, I get the short end of the stick and everything because it's like, everybody that don't like me, they don't like a black star. Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Sure.
always semi-racist approach. Like, just like that, you wouldn't have did that to a white star. Like, you wouldn't have went to a Diplo party and wanted, if he put you on for promo, you wouldn't have wanted 50% of everything at the door. You'd have been happy with the $10 he gave you, like, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever
Right.
the case, like, me being Blaqstarr, you wanted 50% of everything. Or you wanted something that, like, get out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
So
crazy.
if I'm on benefit with somebody, I trust the fact and I love the fact. But at the end of the day, I'm all about love. I'm all about actual truth in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Oh, Black. You know what? I think that we gotta open a place, and the place has to be a school because
Yeah.
there's a lot of types of things that you're speaking on that no one gets taught. Like one of the things I always used to say, there's no manual for this shit. You know what I mean? Like there's no book to go if you are coming up as a producer or coming up as a dancer or coming up in any type of way, any singer, rapper, any of that. And there's no book for us here, to say this is the exact way to do it. And unfortunately, following bad advice is how most people get jammed up anyway, because they are just looking for that easy way in or out. But it's like, no, we need a home. We need something preserved. Oh, I got an idea. If he comes back on live from the little spinny circle of death, and I have no clue if he can still hear. Okay, there you are. Let's open a museum, Black. Nope, he's gone. Sort of. Which is fine because it's already 9:00. And this is the super long special. Those who are just tuning in, thank you for clicking the live and joining us for what is the 4th episode of my Walking Down the Avenue series, in which I find our lovely club. Talk to them. Let's all love. His battery died, or whatever the case is. But talk to them about Baltimore Club in terms of now and in the past and things like that, because we need to preserve this history. But the technology guys have kicked Blaqstarr out, which means the dinner time guys are telling me it's time to go make that happen. So thank you. On the next edition of Walking Down the Avenue for the 5th episode, we're gonna have the wonderful DJ Sega from Philly. Yeah, the Black Knight. I'm gonna pull him because, one of the funniest things someone ever asked me about Sega, they were like, why do Sega make Baltimore club music and call it Philly club? And it cracked me up to death. But I'm gonna ask him that specific question unless he answers in the comments real quick before then. But we're gonna dig into Sega's relationship with Baltimore Club and see how that's affected him, because I don't know nobody who has more music than him and hasn't been as consistent, honestly, as Sega has in putting music out and for the club genre in general. And he has nothing but love for this city and our music.
A few more streets and we'll be through.